Yeah, I get right to the racks. Then I make that shit back. Run up on me, get shot in the back.
It's Jerry TV. Good to go, Scout Man. Regular day. Diary. Today, possibly got why you should watch American Me.
Why? This is a movie I saw. I'm 67 years old. I saw this movie. I'm 67 years old, but I saw it as a youth.
Oh, wow.
I was very, very, very young. And it was the most startling, never do crime movie for me. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. This movie scares the living daylights out of you, bro. Like, talk about structure and program. Watch this movie.
Wow, it's Jerry TV for your discussion. I think we should have right to it. We want to do the full reaction, but we might do a Patreon for that. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a couple. We gotta handle business here. Make sure you go on JavenTV.com.
Oh yeah, JavenTV.com, Bird.
Make sure you go on JavenTV.com.
Link is gonna be below.
The link is gonna be below. Check out our merch. We got super dope hats and shirts. It's kind of funny. Never heard of them stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Also, follow him on Instagram, JavenTV. Follow me, Pops Reacts. We have a Discord below. We're super interactive, and as the channel grows, we're going into new genre and new stuff, and we need you guys to reach out to us. We also do paid reactions. Yeah. We'll do reels for you. You know what I'm saying? Any way that you could put money in our pocket, we like.
That's all right to it.
It's a fantastic story about family.
I ain't never
and
seen
the underground
Godfather.
Politics of the power behind
I ain't never seen Godfather.
I feel like it's always been played in the background when I was little. Like I remember seeing that movie all the time, just be playing in the background.
Probably more Scarface.
Okay.
I ain't never watched Godfather. Do you guys think that's crazy for an old man like me?
powers of an earlier American society. Scarface is another mafia classic, as Al Pacino steals scene after scene with his character's unbridled determination and almost celebratory lifestyle of
Scarface was cool, but first of all, Al Pacino is not even Spanish. First of all, he's not Mexican, he's not Cuban, he's not nothing. He says like 6 Spanish words the whole movie.
Really?
He talks English the whole movie, which is it's a comedy when I watch it now.
the drug empire he creates. As far as prison movies go, The Shawshank Redemption is among the best there is. And as for crime drama, The Departed
That was good.
and American Gangster are at the top of my list.
Good too.
These movies somehow manage to elicit a positive emotion
good
toward
too.
the anti-heroes who facilitate so much
Good fellas.
corruption in their surrounding communities. Yet I'm drawn to them. Somehow their narrative becomes one of deliverance through vengeance, or survival at any cost. At their heart, the main and supporting characters are a distorted reflection of ourselves and the people we know. People desperately gasping for air, grasping for life, and trying to take it from others
Let's
by
blow.
any means they can,
Blow.
while those who see the choking pandemic around them breathe easy, unaffected, satisfied. In the end, these movies follow one of two formulas, in which either the protagonist achieves the end goal of obtaining whatever power desired, or they become a tragic hero, reaching the pinnacle of their success only to be cast down by some personal
blood.
flaw that inevitably leads to their capture or death. So what can be said about a film that tries to take elements from each of these already intermixed categories and utilizes their storytelling techniques in a way to focus on the plight of a particular set of people in 1960s Los Angeles? That movie is called American Me, and I have a couple of reasons why it's worth viewing. The style of American Me is more of a gritty, realistic documentary narrated by the main actor and director, Edward James Olmos, who plays the character Montoya Santana. Gone are the characteristics of a refined, highly polished cast and setting. There is no glamour to be found in the violence and profiteering from drug distribution. And noticeably missing from the prison scenes are any moments of tranquility, hope, or justice. Instead, Olmos paints a portrait of decay within the disenfranchised Latino youth of 1950s LA, and leaves the ending with a bleak outlook that provides no direct answers to the problems presented.
Super young, right?
This is a tough movie to watch, because there is no sugarcoating the dangers and consequences along the path Santana walks, both physically and psychologically. Santana himself is not the same as other glorified mob bosses, because he exudes confidence, but not arrogance, shows us introspective contemplation rather than outlandishness and blatant aggression. He's a complicated figure who at first seeks what most of the characters in the movie are seeking, some place to belong. The cure for this fear of separation and aloneness
The Güero.
manifests itself in the formation of his street gang, and then his prison gang, La M. This pack mentality is a natural response to an individual's plight of feeling outside the rest of the world, and this existence is no better illustrated than when Santana is released from prison, the place that became his whole world, and reality where he created a silent empire of drugs, gambling, prostitution, and murder. If he was struggling with societal norms and acceptance before, his post-prison life is completely alien to him, and Santana finds himself more having to rebuild some sense of belonging. He tries to cure the anxiety of separateness with intimacy, but he's clumsy at it, and sex only creates a bigger divide between him and the woman he admires.
Yeah, pause it.
He tries to
It's pretty interesting because I think he'd been in jail his whole youth. So if I remember correct, he ends up having sex, but like as an old man.
Oh shit!
Like it was like about awkward, like jail grittiness to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
to reconnect with family, but his father is uninterested, his mother deceased, and his brother has already solved his own condition of aloneness with drugs and like-minded addicts. He tries to use his work with La Ime as the go-to distraction from facing his own alienation from everything and everyone, but the Mexican mafia business has become a lot tougher outside of prison.
Dope car.
And Santana's leadership is constantly whittled away by encroaching gangs, such as the Black Guerrillas and the Nuestra Familia. Ultimately, this idea of belonging is what drives the plot of this story, and the problem comes down to the overwhelming trepidation of separateness. Separate from one's family, separate from the community, separate from friends, separate from love, separate from each other.
Separate!
Eric Fromm suggests that as a species, we humans have been fighting this battle of separation from our humble beginnings, since we were first separated from nature itself. Whether you believe that moment was when we were cast out of a garden with a flaming sword forever blocking the way back, or since the day we first walked upright, evolving from a missing link out of the animal kingdom, we'll never be able to fully reestablish that lost connection with Mother Nature. But Fromm's answer to this quest of solving our innate aloneness is love.
Wow.
It's a broad answer, but for the purposes of analyzing American Me, one can observe a specific type of love that's desperately missing. Fatherly love. Santana's father, Pedro Santana, is presented as a resentful, harsh man. From Montoya's youth to adulthood, he lacks any display of compassion or affection.
They look the same age.
I know.
But wow. So I thought the movie was all in jail. I didn't know this.
It is. It's like 80% in jail. He come out and then I think he goes back in or something. He go back home.
He shows little interest in his son's upbringing or life experiences. He doesn't visit his son when Montoya goes to prison. Pedro isn't happy to see him when Montoya is finally released.
Wow.
Of course, the movie provides a reason for Pedro's anger, but he's almost equally as aloof toward his other son, Paulito, who also ends up engaged in the drug and gang lifestyle. Pedro's own father is a physical example of this fatherly impotence, as we're only given a brief introduction of the Santana grandfather, slouched and sunken in his chair, happier to have the door closed than to see his own grandson left to himself in a dimly lit room. Montoya Santana cannot be there to rear his own son, and before the end of the movie, Pedro attempts a plaintive cry of actual parenting for Paulito, but it's too late. The gangs have already parented Paulito, just as the prison system parented Montoya, and so the cycle continues even as Santana steps down from his role as leader of La Ime, contemplating his own ability to provide a positive father figure role to their youth in hopes of steering them from giving away their lives as he had in his younger days. It brings to mind the question asked in the movie Smoke Signals. How do we forgive our fathers? Maybe in a dream. If we forgive our fathers, what is left? There is no guarantee that the presence of a strong fatherly love would have changed.
I mean, a lot of men do go through that. Like, what is the percentage?
Yeah, you forgive me?
For what? I mean, you were my life, right?
For what, fool?
Well, like, how many men you think don't have a father, didn't grow up with a father?
Oh, percentage-wise? Crazy. Unfortunate fact. Growing up, it must have been like 11 or 12 of us.
I'm talking about not just in the hood, bro. I'm talking about in America, you think. Let's go on a broader scale for the audience here.
I think the newer generation are a lot better fathers.
Okay.
I think my generation and stuff, you know, we for those, I don't know, it's kind of odd. I don't know the answer to that. It's a great question. I would go 70-30. I say 30% of society are fatherless.
Okay. I'm good.
Changed much of anything in the story of Santana, but it couldn't have hurt. Despite his troubled past, Santana becomes a powerful figure, sharing the confident certainty of Vito Corleone, the clever ruthlessness of Tony Montana, and the modest conservatism of Frank Lucas. Yet the precedent he sets for his gang leads to his own downfall, but Laime thrives regardless, leader or no leader, because the gang has become the answer to those seeking to belong, an ideal powerful enough to turn brother against brother. This bleak outlook is represented in the colors used through the prison sequences, as the environment is full of drab, muted blues and grays, punctuated by a barren courtyard and living quarters draped in shadow.
I don't think our audience is smart enough to understand what he's saying. You think they're going to understand?
I think our audience do, and if not, you process it in your slow-ass brain.
Blues and grays, punctuated by a barren courtyard and living quarters draped in shadow. Despite the cinematic,
you know what this sounds?
These prison scenes are,
and I know I'm right. This is a straight chat GPT
video
narrative. Like he punched up a question and chat GPT spit this out. Please compare this Frank Lucas with Vito Corleone.
Among the most interesting parts of the movie, as we learn how Laime runs its operation and how the gang culture clashes with itself behind prison walls. The scenes of Santana's barrio are warmer, but awash in plain whites and browns that depict a fragile community, unable to resist the outside influence of corruption. Somehow, the neighborhood comes to life during the night scenes, showing more optimism and livelihood than what is seen during the day. However, these scenes on the outside are slowed down by the duality of Santana's being, as he copes with the legacy as built behind prison walls and the crime-free life he needs in order to be with his love interest. Overall, American Me is a melancholic swan song to the promises of Chicano youth. It presents the problem of gang-related murders without a definite solution, and offers no true redemption for its main character except through a brutal death scene. The demoralization presented throughout the movie isn't limited to the Latino community. It stretches across America, making it an American problem. Perhaps the answer then must come from all of us, the community. Maybe a father's love is more critical to the growth of a child than realized. Or is fear more powerful than love? Watch for yourself and let us know what you think.
I think fear is, because when people fear you, you are respected.
Okay, so fear is more important than respect?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Shout out to American Me and shout out to this channel. I want to watch American Me. How should we do it, guys? I don't think we're going to do it on YouTube, bro, because probably
you can't do it on TikTok either, right?
Nah. I haven't seen nobody even post a full reaction to watching American Me.
Maybe we'll do it in little chunks.
I don't want to risk that.
I don't want to risk that.
We out of here, right?
We out of here.
Peace.
And I know how it gets, so I gotta stay low, now move my knot. I don't trust no nigga, I don't trust no man, ain't no friends, everybody get shot. You never know how nigga gon' throw, I'm hitting the flow with a couple of shots. You better move, you better duck, either way to go, you'll get got.